Matt said drop a beat, so... You hear that?
Chanda bought us in his cart.
Hi, my name is Chanda.
Three, two, one.
Hi, I'm Barry Keoghan.
Hi, my name's Joshua Clarke. I'm the director of the film The Mysterious Events at the Lawrence Estate. What else did you want me to talk about? I can't remember the other questions you said.
Thank you very much for coming today.
Oh, thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Chanda. I play Samuel Kaunda. It's my first acting role. It's my first step into this industry. I'm not from this world, and I've been welcomed open arms into it, and I've really enjoyed the whole process of it. I've learned so much, and I can't wait to get my teeth sunk into more stuff. We filmed this back in... Do we even say when we filmed this back in?
Yeah.
We filmed it back in 2021.
2021.
Some people are very lazy with their editing. That's a joke. It's taken a while. But no, we filmed it and we got to see it before, and we're really proud of this film. And yeah, I guess we're going to talk about it.
So we're in Leamington Spa because we were going to film in Rugby, but apparently Rugby's not good enough. So we've come here, which is a much nicer location. And it's not raining, which is nice. And also, we've been here before because we used to work relatively close to here.
Yeah.
Because that's how we met at work.
Yeah.
But I know we'll touch on that later,
We'll
so
get into that.
we're getting ahead of ourselves.
How did you meet?
So, do you want to start with your story? Because yours makes
Yeah.
more film sense.
So I started working. Are we allowed to say the company name? I started working for a company, doing like internal films. So I just finished uni, doing my film production degree, and I was making like in-house videos for whatever they needed, stuff to go on their social media, that kind of stuff, interviews with people that work there. And then when that contract came to an end, I applied for a job in a department where Chanda was working.
Yeah, so outside of this is all new to me. I'm literally fresh into the industry. I've never worked on a film before. And my actual day job is I'm a planning engineer, and I got to meet Josh. And the background for me is I really enjoyed, drama and film and all of that stuff at school. But I have a background which there's more pressure to be academic, probably say that way. So didn't really get to explore that. And then we were talking about stuff. He was like, "Oh, can you act? Can you just the thing?" And then there was a little pilot that we did way back when in Milton Keynes, and we spent a day shooting it. And Josh was like, "Oh, you can act for real. Do you want to send an audition tape?" And did so, and I found myself in the film. And
Yeah.
that's how we met.
Yeah, that's how we met. I remember the first time actually. It was before we'd actually properly met.
Oh.
You just came up to me and you were just like, "Oh, you went to Stafford."
Yes.
Because that's the uni I went to. And I was just like, "How do you know that?" And I was wearing a hoodie that said Stafford.
Massive on it.
When it came to actually writing Lawrence Estate, so we knew we wanted to do a project. And so we had to look at it from the perspective of, right, it can't be too expensive. And so that's where the idea of doing something in one location came up, because inevitably it's going to be cheaper. You're not having to, get crew, cast, everyone from one location to another. And so we then started thinking, what kind of narrative fits that style of filmmaking? And we kind of went for murder mystery. We thought, right, let's make like a really good murder mystery. And then throughout that process, the whole process of writing it took a week. And we basically, me and two other guys, so Michael Butterworth and Lee Kelly Burkett, the three of us, we spent the week off work hashing out a story. And then once we'd kind of got the overall timeline of what we wanted to happen, like the key points, we then fleshed it out with dialogue and obviously characters. You're building our characters from that. So it was a really productive week, and it's definitely like, for future projects, I think it's definitely the way to go. If you kind of have writer's block and you're going, I want to do a new project, I personally feel like it's the best thing to just get other people in the same room, take some time off if you can, maybe a weekend or something, and just hash out ideas, because the productivity is just off the charts. So yeah, that's how we wrote it. And then from there, we then thought, right, what locations do we have available? What cast members do we have available? What crew members do we have available? And essentially, because it was an independent film, we just reached out to everybody that we knew that we thought might want to get involved. And thankfully, loads of people did. And it was good from that perspective.
For me, getting to the headspace of Samia Kaunda was a really interesting one. I didn't delve into too much about the period of time that he existed in, for a reason that's more revealed within the film. However, into getting the headspace of the actual character, I wanted to be as almost grounded a character as possible within the film, because of the role that he plays. He's almost one of the more central characters who's away from the whirlwind of all the craziness of all the characters that are around him, and you almost follow some of the direction that he does. And so for me, it was like, okay, how can I be as stable, or how can I provide this sort of stability to the characters that are around me? And I drew a lot of inspiration from actually working in the office as a planner. A lot of people look towards you for, oh, what's the plan? What's going on? What's happening? And so I drew a lot of it from that, and from other things I'd done in the past, really. And yeah, it was really fun. I felt, because my character was probably one of the most grounded, I didn't have to stretch my acting muscles too much. Not that there's many, but it was less so than perhaps the people around me, and I got to really spend many scenes just being impressed about some of the talent that was across from me. And there's so much of that in the film, and I'm so glad, from the moments that we had when Josh would say action to when we're sat down in the cinema when we watched it for the first time, it all flowed through, and it was, yeah, really, really enjoyable.
The film itself, The Mysterious Events of the Lawrence Estate, it's a murder mystery. So it's one of them ones that I can't really speak too much about it, and it's probably best if you just watch it, going in completely fresh. But it's an ensemble cast. Someone gets murdered. And yeah, we spend the film trying to work out, and hopefully the audience can, I'm hoping that they'll spend the film thinking, oh, I wonder who did it. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's a well put together, multi-layered story. Like you said, ensemble cast. Everyone starts to form their own theories about who's done it, and yeah, you as an audience try to work out exactly what exactly happened, how it all came together, who's behind it, and then there's plenty more hidden gems and features throughout the film. So yeah, I think when I watched it, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I spent the first bit, because it was my first one, I'm just being like, oh my goodness, look, I'm on screen, that's crazy. And then things start happening. I was like, do you know what? I completely forgot about all of this, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. And once it was done, I was hoping for more, really.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And yeah, I think I remember when we were actually on set, there was a few cast members who didn't know the full story, so it was quite nice at points. I remember speaking to Josh West about it. I was like, so who do you think did it? And he was like, it was good, because he came up with his own theory about who he thought had done it and why they'd done it and whatnot, and it was really interesting to hear, because it was good, there is some air of mystery about it.
Yeah.
So
the way the film is shot is, well, many scenes are done almost in a one take, which means a lot of times we're using sort of visual trickery to continue scenes where we actually do take a pause and a break between each set.
I was heavily inspired by the film Rope. It's a Hitchcock film. It's definitely worth a watch if you haven't seen it. And I just feel like it definitely gave off the kind of aesthetic that I wanted for the Lawrence Estate film. And so because of that then inspired us to do it in the kind of one take kind of way, which in some instances does, you kind of, when you hear someone's done that kind of thing, you think, oh, it's a bit gimmicky. It definitely is kind of purposely for this film specifically. I wouldn't just do it for any project. I probably wouldn't do it for another project, because it's a tough, when you're doing long takes and they go wrong, it is a nightmare. So it's not the most productive way of going about filmmaking. But yeah, it was what we went for this film, and in my opinion, it works for this film, and so I hope people watching it agree. In terms of the actual movement, it's really tough to be creative with these specific movements. So obviously one that we ended up doing a lot was going into like the backs of the characters, either going straight in and then coming straight back out again, or going across and cutting as it goes across.
A lot of times that object was my own back, and so the camera would pan right in and just sort of I'd feel this hit, just in the base of my back, and then it just mean that the next scene would start from exactly there. Sometimes it'd go around my shoulders and all sorts. The fantastic nature of it is it does feel like the pacing of the film is very natural. It's like you're just watching people and things going on, and so it was really, really, really nice like that way. The drawback a lot of the times with this artistic choice was that when you did have a perhaps long sequence, anything going wrong within that long sequence meant starting it from the start. And there was one particular take I remember where it was a very, very, very long take, and it culminated in this very nice wide shot of the whole cast at a table. And right before Josh would say cut, I accidentally looked right down the barrel of the lens and had to be like, oh, sorry, I might have done that. And so I had to reset everything and everyone. It was one of the longest shots, and I think there was a scene, I'm not sure if it was that particular one, that we had to reshoot. I think it was 17 times after a few hours of doing the same scenes. Yeah, if you didn't know your lines at the start, trust me, you knew them at the end.
I had a real issue in post with some of the cuts for sure. I think the best ones to cut are easily the whip pans. So if you have the camera and just do that and then start the next scene doing that, you cut in between and it's completely not noticeable. And I think they're the favourite ones to edit because it just was easy to do. I was like, oh great, that one's sorted, move on to the next one. And so yeah, because of the way we shot it, the film was shot chronologically. So yeah, people on set could see how the story kind of developed. And I think from an acting perspective, all the actors managed to kind of build into their characters to like the crescendo of the end of the film. And so yeah, it was a good way of doing it. It's not the most conventional way of shooting a film, but is the way we went about it, and it worked for this project specifically.
So we'd originally spent 2 weeks shooting in this amazing location you guys found
in Tamworth. It was called Paulie Hall.
Yeah, and it was really
it was class, really. It was really nice.
But it was quite a drive away. Like each morning, it was a stretch to go there and back. And the whole thing was organized. Obviously, you needed to do stuff with the crew and all the execs and all the producers and all that stuff. And the cast, we'd all head to the green room. And so for me, it was a bit more relaxed because we'd go there and we'd be practicing and just doing different bits. But
I essentially was not relaxed for the entire time of the shoot. There was always something else to think about the entire time. So it was always on like lunch breaks. Everyone would go for lunch, and I'd be like, right, what are we doing next? And like, yeah, it's like, Josh, you need to eat.
Yeah. And that's one of the main things I learned, because this was my proper first experience on set, was how different life is for the cast and for the crew. Because as the cast, we were in the green room, mostly being like, guys, what are we doing?
Yeah,
mostly, you're sitting around waiting.
I hardly ever went in the green room. I probably went in there once. Is everyone all right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
cool,
good,
right?
Good. Playing some games, just doing whatever, having a good time. And then I just hear things of like, things going on set, planning things, and some things would go wrong. And they took care of us completely. When things went wrong, I wouldn't know about it going wrong until it was already fixed. And so it was really, really good time on set. But yeah,
we did our best.
My timekeeping for those 2 weeks was not fantastic.
But it didn't matter because we got it all done.
We got it all done.
It all done.
It's a really good film. Go see it.
With the project being an independent production, we had a huge array of people that had different backgrounds with the film industry. And so Chanda being someone who was coming into it pretty cold. He'd not done anything else really. And so it was really exciting from my perspective to see him experience the process of filmmaking and very quickly realize that it's a lot of waiting around and waiting for and it is a process of things going wrong. We try and work out how to fix it. It's problem solving. And that's one thing I've always stuck by, is that if you are good at problem solving, you're probably going to be good at filmmaking, because it is just a case of something's gone wrong. Right, what can we do to fix it? And keep doing that process until you have a fully made film.
A proper peek behind the curtain of being on a film set. A thing that surprised me the most, and I feel like people within the industry are so used to, because people have from very young people are involved in it, and for somebody who's just fresh out to just a commoner is who I am, is how everything is deliberate. Like absolutely everything on set, everything you're watching is deliberate. The sound, the lighting, the placement, the direction of the camera. It was so much was deliberate. I didn't realize. So when we were filming and I had to stay on my mark, I didn't realize. I thought the mark was just like a general spot. No, there was a guy who came over with a piece of tape and put it on the floor, and my toes had to be touching that. And then there was a whole the whole choreography of each scene was so meticulous and deliberate. I didn't expect it to be of that level. And it was not only, I thought going in, I just need to know my lines, that's it. But in reality, you know your lines, know what everybody else is, to be saying, but also where the camera will be at what point, and then the direction of it all. So for me, I was like, oh, what does this do? What does this do? What does that do? And oh my goodness, that's amazing. And just learning about all that.
In terms of directing the cast, yeah, it was fun. I really enjoyed it. One thing that always sticks in my head is when Chanda, we gave everyone marks to stand on, and when we'd say cut, we'd want to go again. Like we'd want to just quickly reset and then like redo the take. And before we know it, Chanda's like stood beside me looking at the monitor going, was it good? Was it good? Can we rewatch it? Can we? And we'd be like, no, get back to your mark. We need to go again. Yeah, so the amount of times it was like, we're going again. Where's Chanda? Oh, right. Cut. So yeah, it was fun. And with it being an ensemble cast, it was nice during the pre-production process. So we actually, me and Flynn Burkett, who's the DOP, we shot the film on our phones. So there is a version of the film already, because I wanted to basically go through it. I can't draw, so I can't do storyboarding. And so my way of doing the kind of pre-production process is thinking about what shots I want, shooting it, and then that meant that when we were on set, I could, Sarah, who was our Steadicam operator, I could basically show her on my phone the shot we'd already got and say, this is what I'm going for. And so she could watch it and go, great, yeah, let's give it a go. And that for me was the best kind of process, because it meant that I wasn't ending up on set without any idea of what was going on. I kind of had already planned it. I knew what we had to set out for the day. So yeah, and I definitely do that process for future films that I make, because it's just a better way of going about it instead of just leaving everything to the last minute. It's not a good idea.
Week 2, and we're sort of getting into the nitty-gritty of it, and you call over Dan Robert Beaton into a room. We're in the green room. We don't know what's going on. He's locked in a room for a bit, and we're just like, what's going on? And then Dan comes out like you've punched him in the face, and he's fuming, and he won't talk to anybody. He just suddenly like had gone method, but nobody been told about it. And so we're just like, it's weird because like the atmosphere on set, everyone was really happy, jovial, everyone just got on, it was really fun, especially with the cast. And then Dan comes out and he's just fuming, won't talk to anyone, won't do anything, and you won't tell us what's going on.
I just called action. I'm
Yeah,
pretty
called
sure
action.
it was like,
and then Dan just
on
continues, and
Yeah.
we're just like, it worked so well, and you get to see it visually when you're watching the film. But for those days when we were filming those scenes, I mean, first of all, I'd never been impressed by being surrounded with so many talented people in their fields. So many people just like showed what they could do. And but whilst it was happening, whilst we were between the cuts, these guys stayed the same, and like Dan was just it was the weirdest thing, because when he said action, Dan just continued the same, and we don't know what was going on, and so we just continue to act as the script said, but every so often Dan might go off it and we didn't know what to do. Almost like looking at Josh and doing this thing and doing all these bits. But for what it meant in the film and for what it unlocked, it was absolutely fantastic. And that's just one of the things of so many that went on set. Do you even remember?
Yeah. Well, I wanted the responses from the other actors to be like as genuine as possible. And I think for that scenario, I thought it was best not to let them know what was going on. So I just said to Dan what I wanted him to do, didn't tell the others, and then we just rolled for it. And that take made it into the final film. So you know, it definitely had the desired effect that I was wanting.
It brought out
for
some
sure.
of the best performances from people around. Bobby, because she didn't know, but obviously Bobby plays the spouse of Dan in the film, and she wasn't sure what's going on, but like it worked so well. So do you know what? Credit where credit's due. You smashed that out of the park with with that decision, and it was one of many.
My background in film, I mean, I've always been obsessed with film. I've always known I've wanted to be a film director, and I think my whole life has been adjusted to kind of try and make that happen. I co-directed a feature film at university with another guy called Jack Kelly, and that went on to do quite well. It's called Buses. It's on YouTube if you want to watch it. And so that was the first kind of soiree into feature filmmaking, and it was just a really good experience. And I was like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And so, yeah, hopefully more projects to come. And then, I went to Staffordshire University to study film production technology, and because I didn't want to do anything else, I was just like, I just want to make films. And I still want to get that to that point where that is just what I end up doing.
For me, honestly, it would be get my teeth sunk into another character and be involved in another project. I have always wanted to do as many different creative things as possible, and I'm very much the sort of person who I'll set myself just these sort of challenges, and try and do them no matter what they be in. And so for the Lawrence Estate to begin with was just be in a film and be competent enough that I'm not sacked the first few days. And yeah, thankfully that happened. So I'm hoping that I'll have another opportunity to do so. So anytime Josh calls, it won't even ring twice. I'll be like, yeah, sure, I'm on it. I'm happy to do whatever the next piece of work is. And thankfully he's not short of ideas. And so yeah, just have another opportunity, continuing lending my hand into whatever the project is, and being in this land of make believe, which I really enjoy. So yeah, that's what I hope for acting. And as far as outside, just keep doing whatever it is that I want to do. Has always been my approach to anything.
In the post-production section of a film, which I would arguably say is the most difficult kind of place to be in the whole timeline of creating a film, pre-production, production, post-production is where it's really tough, because you've got everything, and then you're like, right, what we need sound design, obviously it needs to be edited, color graded, and a part of that is music being written for it. And it's tough to find the right people to do the right job, especially when it comes to like the writing the music. So I really tried to find other people who could do a score for the film, and I couldn't, and so I thought I'm just gonna have to do it myself. Yeah, thankfully I've got a musical background, I know how to use Logic, so therefore I just thought I'll give it a go and see how it works, and I think it's turned out okay. It wasn't really a case of watching a scene and going, oh, I know what would fit. It was trying stuff out, seeing if it fit the scene, and then going, well, maybe it might not fit there, but I'll keep that piece of music and maybe use it at another point in the film. An idea I had early on was with the different instruments kind of being assigned to the different characters, and it reminded me of Peter and the Wolf by Prokofiev, and I think that was kind of an idea that I thought, oh, that would be really cool. And so there is repeating motifs that are paired with certain characters in the film, and so when you have a certain character that is kind of in the limelight, because it's an ensemble cast, when you have one character that's kind of in the limelight, their specific motif comes through. So hopefully some people might pick up on that.
Curse double feature. This one needs to be fleshed out, but my curse double feature is the mysterious events at Lawrence Estate and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. A group of people enter a mysterious building in which murder ensues, and we're wondering who will inherit the area. Actually, that worked.
The only ones I was kind of thinking were ones that had ridiculously long titles. So we got obviously our film's The Mysterious Events at the Lawrence Estate, which we affectionately started calling Tometal because it was just a lot easier. And I can't remember the titles of the other ones. Like Dr. Strangelove or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb, I think is what it's called.
Is that sign out or sign in?
Oh, that was the sign in.
Okay,
The signing out. We are now
Oh,
leaving.
we're signing out. Oh, okay,
Leamington
okay,
Spa.
Okay.
That was Josh Clarke and Chanda.
That was Chanda. The late.
The last you're ever going to see of him. I hope you enjoyed hearing about myself and Chanda and everyone else involved in the project. And I really hope that when it's available to watch after it's done its festival run, that you you'll watch it and hopefully you'll enjoy it. So yeah, thank you very much.
Before we go, would you mind giving us a Borat impression?
This my wife. She's 16.